Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever and whenever you are on the planet. Welcome to another Built at Home video. In this episode, the GC gets cool. Well, oil and transmission fluid do anyway. I should also mention that this should be the last episode where video is more of an afterthought. I'm trying to move away from the set the camera up, walk away, just record things. Video should be a little more involved and in-depth. Future episodes are definitely going to be more defined, informative, and hopefully entertaining. That's the plan anyway. But enough about that. Let's watch me do a thing with some stuff on my back. Working on the car still. We are doing downpipe things today. If you don't know, a turbo car has a downpipe. Doesn't necessarily go down. What it effectively is the exhaust side, exhaust side of the turbo. So if we take a look, we can see on our Subaru, the turbo sits right here, and this is the exhaust. So the factory downpipe would look something like this. Obviously it would have more at the end, but this is what came with the engine from Japan, and that bolts on. This is pretty restrictive because, let's see if I can get you a shot of the back of the turbo. So you can see the wastegate is here, maybe, and then the turbine is there. So the factory pipe is really only flowing good for the turbine, not the downpipe, or not the downpipe. The factory downpipe is only really good for the turbine and not the wastegate, because the wastegate just hits this and has to go over there and then has to make another turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our own. We're starting with much bigger hole. This is a 3-inch tailpipe I picked up at the store, and we have a pre-made flange. So if we put the flange on the turbo, what we're going to end up with is something sort of like that. So if I do it with my hand, so it's much bigger, it'll still clear everything, and then we will use this or something similar to fill in the other side. And anyway, you'll see it as I'm working on it. So we need to get our pipe to fit a little better in our flange. Let's see if I can show that. So right now it doesn't fit at all. So we're going to squish this and make it an oval so that it fits a little better. And then we can see what else we need to do before welding it. Don't know if this is going to work. Might completely ruin it. But we're going to find out. I'd be better off trying to smushify the whole top of it. That is almost where we want it. With a little bit of persuasion, it should fit. And now that it's raining, that's going to make things even more fun! So after some beating and some hammering and some grinding and some cutting, we have what will work for our downpipe. I'm going to try and do something over here as well, but this fits. Let me get these off, and I can show you on the car. So over here on the car, push down here without burning myself. That clears everything and puts it at the appropriate angle for dangling. So now I'm going to put a little bit more weld on it so it doesn't come loose. I'm working with the best welder in the world. But let's see if I set up the camera and show some of that. So the original plan was to use, God, this lighting is bad. So the original plan for the intercooler was to use these expensive extended silicone elbows that I bought. And I could make that work, but it's not the best way. And as I'm figuring this out, and as I imagine most people do when they do custom conversions, there's a better way when you stop and think about it and you're not frustrated. So the way this was going to work is these pipes go in here and they have to be smooshed to fit through there. My genius allowed me to take a piece of 2.5 inch exhaust pipe and smoosh it so that now this will fit through there perfectly, and it will still provide an adequate amount of airflow instead of having to smoosh the rubber. Let's get this off here. Instead of having to smoosh the rubber to come through there, we're going to take one of the original short elbows and another hand. Hold on a second. We can take one of the original elbows with our little piece and it will slide. It will slide in next to everything and come out on this side like that. And then we can take another elbow and put it on this side, and then that fits. I don't have to worry about it rubbing, and then I can pull the whole thing out with the intercooler without having to worry about getting to the clamps. And this side will be the same thing. And this side is what caused all the trouble, because this stem adjustable exhaust cam that I'm not even using. You see, there's just not a lot of space here. So we have to do like that. We'll work on that now. Places les coiles de Saragas as what the fuck? Oh, that's better. Wait. Alternative, where the fuck is the English? So we gotta get hoses up here. This is probably going to be kind of hard to see, but I want to see if I can get some pictures of what's going on with the oil cooling stuff. Similar sort of setup that I did at Forester. Big difference is, let's see if I can get you over here. So there you can see that's where the oil filter is. So there's a plate, I'll show you in a second, that goes between the oil filter and has takeoffs on it, which the AN line here connects to. And that AN line runs under the passenger side, actually above the passenger side headers, and then between the engine oil pan and the cross member, and over to the oil thermostat. So the Forester does not have an oil thermostat, and its oil filter is actually relocated over there. And the biggest difference in the why that could be done is this Japanese engine is using factory equal length headers. So I wish I had a wider angle camera. So you can see comes across the front, and then these loop over, and they're equal. And then they go up both pipes. That's why this is thicker. Go up to the turbo for the twin scrolliness. The Forester in most EJ engines even the factory headers don't come down and then go this way and then loop around. They very immediately cut here. So there's not this here. And that gives more space for oil lines if you're doing this sort of nonsense. So this will work fine. I had to add an extra spacer. But again, all this is pretty standard stuff, things that people do on cars. As long as the surfaces are clean, the O-rings last. Any kind of oil leaks you're going to notice and be able to fix pretty easily. This is just where the oil filter is going to be. It's going to be lower, but it's still going to be well above the exhaust. So if I do hit something or ground out, it's going to hit all of this mess before actually hitting the oil filter. And I'm thinking about doing a little skid plate as well. But it's been a little bit challenging messing with this, trying to figure out what I was going to do before I tried to record it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this or not. Yeah, so there's a couple little tabs in here, which are just meant to hold the heat shielding together. They're kind of in the way, so I'm going to have to see if I can bend them over. That'll help a little bit. This one isn't so much of a problem, but there's another one back here that's hitting the line when it curves around. There's plenty of space under here. I know it looks tight. I am going to change these bolts to some rounded off head ones. That is the only problem I had with the setup in the Forester, is after a year and a half and actually pulling the engine out and put it back in, the line got chafed on the bolt head and created an oil leak. Yeah, that was a fun 3 hours waiting on a tow truck, but no damage to the engine. I caught it and everything. You can see the plumes of smoke. Anyway, so I'll change those. I also have some line wrap, like heat wrap, extra wrap, that I'm going to put on this section since it is close to the exhaust. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. I mean, Subaru designed a thing with the oil filter right here by the exhaust, and it gets a little warm. I've looked into the little socks that go over the oil filter as well, just to help. But anything's better than the factory oil heater, because then the oil is just effectively never cooled any more than the coolant. And here in the South, that's not necessarily the best thing. So we want to do everything we can to keep it cool. I'll pull the filter off here. That plate, which is not attached yet, is simply there to be a spacer. I did not need the extra little takeoff bits, so they'll be sealed up. Okay, we have a defogged lens. We have a bent tab. We have a properly orientated retention device. Yeah, we're going to go with bent tab. Anyway, so the tab, that one is just bent a little bit, but the one that you can now not see at all is completely flat. So we have our spacer plate with temperature sensor. I put Loctite. What Loctite is this? Loctite 565. It's a thread sealant and a locker sort of combination deal. And now we're going to put our spacer onto the block. Let's see if I can arrange you so you can see this. So we have our little screwy thingy. So this is going to get sealant on it too. That should be good. Oh, fuck. I didn't need sealant on this part. I needed sealant on that part. I'll be back in a second. I'm done being an idiot with that, see this part here, which has a little bit of oil residue in it. That one needs to seal it. And I'm probably just going to have to put it on my finger. My arm doesn't bend that way. Okay. Now that we have unfucked ourselves, this can go on. Yeah. Can you still see? I think you can still see. Just wipe this off to make sure that it's clean, which it should be. Then we're going to put these in. There we go. Sealant probably isn't 100% necessary here, but we're going to do it anyway. And we have which I want to make sure that stays where it is. Come on, get back on there. No, you don't turn. No, you turn. Fuck it. You can hear the dog barking. I'm sorry. My neighbors are assholes, and they bark all day. And the city won't do anything about it. And I've gotten tired of complaining and filing complaints and reports about it. We have noise ordinances. It's a Sunday. They're not being followed. Alrighty, that is now tight. Everything is cleared. Everything is flush. There's no reason that should leak. So this is the takeoff thingy, oil thingy. So the only thing we really have to be concerned with is knowing which line is in and out. So the thermostat is connected properly because the thermostat is directional. And so this is the takeoff thingy. The only thing we really have to be concerned with is that it fits. The oil ring needs to be good, and it is directional, of course. All oil systems directional, and the thermostat is as well. I don't know if I can angle the camera. Let's do that. That's what the arrows on the thermostat mean. So what I am going to do now is figure out how to get this into that hole with these lines attached and tight. I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see, but we will give it a shot. Let's maybe give you a different angle here. How about that? I don't know. But this goes there. So you can see the lines are actually fairly far in there. So what I think we're going to do is fish the lines through. these the same length? One of them is probably longer than the other, yeah. So which I cut them in length, and I have no idea which one is supposed to be top and which one is supposed to be bottom at this point. Flippity flappity floopity. Yeah, I know those aren't words. I don't know, actually. It would stand to reason the one that's longer would be the one for that side, which I decided should be the top. So this one goes on first. I don't know. This is the problem with this sort of thing. All of it is custom. There's no instructions, and you make it up as you go along. So that nope, the other one I think is supposed to be in here first. None of this is simple and straightforward. Alright, let's see if we can get this in here. So obviously those aren't tight. We don't want to fuck up our seal and all this metal stuff here. Be careful. So that's where we're gonna go. Just like that. And I think those are backwards. Let's grab this. This does not have sealant on it. It probably won't get sealant on it because it's not really meant to have it. There's a chance that it's going to have to come off at some point. It works kind of the same principles an oil filter does. The oil itself seals it. But what we want to do is see how these are going to fit. Actually, that might be okay like that. I've still gotta do something about those bolts. So, talking about these bolts here. So the top of this, which you really can't see. So the top of these are actual bolts on the other side, and realistically, that's probably not doing anything for stability. It could, but actually it could do a lot for stability because it's closing this. But it's not under a lot of load. The issue though is you can see I've already reversed them, but the heads are still like that. That's exactly what the heads look like. And this line will sit on it and rub, and at some point create an oil leak and make me very unhappy because I don't like oil leaks. I certainly don't like waiting on records because they take forever. Neither here nor there. These need to be changed to like panhead screws. What the hell was that noise? These need to be changed to panhead screws so that the rubbing doesn't matter, that it can sit right there and it's not going to be a problem. So this is going to work fine. That line will go under there, and you can see they go, oops, you can see they go and reach to the thermostat. And then the oil filter, remember I said the oil filter would be a little lower. So if we set you back down, and where the hell did our oil filter go? Let me go find the oil filter. So the oil filter will then go on to that, and you can see that it's lower, but it's still well hidden by the shielding, so no worries there. Also, this isn't the oil filter that's going to run on the car. It's just the cheapest one I could find that I could use to keep the engine sealed. and for testing, because I mean you can see it's messed up already just from sitting out. I have got a Japanese one to go on, but that looks like it's going to work. God, that's a cheap oil filter. It's rusted already. Paint's bubbling. Got sidetracked. So oil lines are going to work. We need to take the thermostat off. The thermostat has to have AN fittings put on the other side, and then we have to figure out mounting for it. Right now it's just zip tied. If I spin you around, you can see the oil thermostat. Let's talk about this for a second. So oil thermostat, what this does is, you can see this big plunger in here. When the car first starts, the oil running into it is sent through a little bypass thingy, and most of it is sent back out. Like, this is the path of least resistance. So it bypasses the cooler, and you can see the bottom of the cooler over here. So it's just doing this. Most of it's doing this. Some of it gets through so that you don't have a big cold section, but most of it's just going through. When this hits 100, 180, 185, I think, when this hits that, it opens up. There's a metal thermostat in there, so a piece of metal that contracts and moves depending on what temperature it is. I'm not going to do a good job of trying to explain that, so just trust that it's a mechanical thermostat. And when that opens, then the oil flows all the way, out through the cooler and then back in. And if for some reason the temperature drops, if you're in a snowstorm, something like that, this prevents the oil from getting too cold. And this is something that my Forester does not have. So during the winter, I have to make sure that before I go anywhere, I let the engine warm up at least a little bit. At least let the coolant temperature come off the bottom, because it's cooler. Like this oil cooler is recessed. It's going to be behind the cowl. It's got a fan in it that's somehow going to be actuated. I don't know if it's just I'm gonna have it just come on. I do have a little thermostat thingy that I may put in the line. Fucking mosquito! Fuck off! I do have a little thermostatic switch that I can put in the line, which I'm thinking about. Though if the thing just came on when the car started, it would be fine, because this is regulating temperature as well. So I may just do that. But in any case, the one in the Forester, and I'll find a picture, is at the very front of the car. So anytime the vehicle is moving, and right now I'm commuting an hour to work, so an hour in 30 degrees, it's just constantly getting blasted. And that's bringing the oil temps way down. So I have to be careful, because it's not really ideal. There's colder days, colder weeks, where I actually cover the oil cooler up, and it's not the way it should be done. This is the way it should be done. You should have a thermostat, whether it's a standalone one like this. They do make takeoff plates that have thermostats in them. That didn't suit my purpose, because the thermostatic one restricted it. It restricted the oil, and I didn't want to do that. This doesn't restrict the oil. It's 1/2 inch straight through. It's not really that much of a difference of cost. By comparison, for cost, this thermostat was cheaper than the fittings that are going into it. Like, you're going to have, $30, $60, probably $70 worth of fittings on a thermostat that was, I think, $24. I'll link all that stuff. So that's a bit of a rant on oiling. We're going to continue working on oiling stuff. I need to pull that off. You can see I've gotten really sidetracked on what the hell I was actually talking about. So these pieces are what need to change. Originally, let's not go there. If I have pictures and footage, I'll show them and caption them. But these have to change to AN fittings like this side, so that the AN hose can go to the cooler. Let's go around and I can show you the cooler. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, Rick. So you can see the cooler here. So you've got oil line here coming out, oil line here coming out, and these lines will loop down and connect under there to the thermostat. But anyway, that's what we're working on.